Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mr. Happy, aka Mr. Happy Mondays, a weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them. I have nothing to say, but I am tired today. I just finished up leg day, had my protein shake. Aloha's been here, whining and meowing. He's right here. In fact, he's gonna pop his head right up. Look at this. See? I've been dealing with this all day. Look, he's so fluffy. Look at how fluffy he is. See? Wants to immediately get up on the business. But I am simply tired. So I'm going to get into the Q&A and I'm going to finish this video as quickly as possible. I'm not lightning rounding it, but I'm just going to like, oh, but he's so warm. I can take all the time in the world here. Look at this. Look at how comfy he is. He's probably miserable right now. Yeah, probably. Yeah, so I'm just going to get through the Q&A. No, nothing fancy here at the start. Hey, no desk. If you're going to go anywhere, go up there. Yeah, so I'm just going to get through this, and we'll be good. Just a tired day. Nothing else to say. Nothing going on. Just tired. So let's get into the Q&A. Thanks to everyone supporting over on Patreon. Nobody has to support over there. It's simply optional. Simply an option like everything else that we have, whether it be the memberships or the hype chats or whatever it is people want to do. Doesn't matter. Just enjoy the video. Ask your questions in the comment section below, and they'll get answered next week. Anyway, let's see what last week's questions were. Or I guess this week's questions, technically. Shall we? Hashtag Mondays with Happy. Hey, Happy. Hi. Finally got my tea clear, and so happy to finally have that. No, I'm happy. You're mega ice wizard. It's what made me go into tea in the first place, so time to get them all. Question, what is Aloha? Oh, fitting. What is Aloha and Ivy's origins? Like, did you adopt them as grown cats or kittens? Did they come together? Aloha we got from a cat cafe in San Diego. He was just about 2.5, 3 years old at the time, and now he's close to 10. I think he just turned 9, actually. So yeah, he's on his way to 10 years old at the moment. Ivy I got 2 years ago, and she was 2 years and 2 months old. That I got from an actual shelter, and I've had her for about 2 years. So they look similar, completely unrelated, completely different cat breeds. They never met each other before. They are like cat lifetimes apart in terms of age, and he is far more annoying than she is, as you can tell. So introducing them was not easy. At first, it seemed like Aloha was really keen to the idea, and then he didn't like how energetic she was, so he often kind of just like pinned her down to try to stop her from running around so much and to assert his dominance. That doesn't happen much anymore. Now they get along. They still like, you know, cat fight occasionally, but for the most part, they get along now. So it was a pretty long ordeal, but now they're like brother and sister, as they should be. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hi, Happy. Hi. Hope you had a nice week. It was a great week, actually. Between Super Mario RPG, some sponsored stuff. I played some Super Mario Wonder, did some Baldur's Gate 3, worked on my relic weapons, finished Final Fantasy XI's Voracious Resurgence last week, so I'm feeling good. Yeah, now you can groom yourself, Aloha. You don't need me. Stay off the desk. Do you think we'll ever get spelling abilities like Dark and Meteor, Comet? I'd say it'd be silly for me to say we wouldn't get those things. I think Dark is a bit kind of generic, but who's to say that they couldn't do that? Yeah, obviously Stardiver is, you know, what is it? Mortal Vow, I think is what it's called. No, it's not Mortal Vow. It's some other attack. I don't remember what it's called. Mortal Vow is something entirely different. That's one of the buffs from DSR. Well, you think at one point in the future they'll get some manner of new job ascension, Gladiator to Paladin? No, I don't think they'll ever do that again. They don't even want class to job advancement anymore. They only keep it in the game because it's not worth removing. They just instead make new jobs not have that kind of stuff. So no, they're probably never going to look at a system like that ever again. And I say that with confidence. Like, obviously you can never rule it out, like I said, but I say that with a lot of confidence. Hashtag Mr. Monday with Haps. Hey there. Hi. Been watching you since I was playing 2 years ago. Well, I'm glad to have you. I've accomplished a lot playing this incredible game, too many to list. I'm glad you've got a lot of accomplishments under your belt in such a short time. My most recent relic weapon I completed is a resistance weapon for a gunbreaker. If something like Bozja or Zadnor were to come back, what would you like to see and what would you change? Would something like Delibram Regine, however you spell it, coming back being as a hidden alliance raid be a good idea? I think it was a good idea when it came out. I think what it is fantastic, but unfortunately they really created it without the idea of people doing it after Shadowbringers in mind. And I think that was the biggest mistake, was going to do it now is awful. I mean, DRS is easier to get done than Delibram Regine normal at this point. And that's not good. It shouldn't be that way. So I think finding a way to incorporate it long-term would be a smarter thing to do, getting it in a traditional queue. The problem is all those extra abilities make that a much harder thing to do. So either way, they just need to design it. Aloha, no desk, stop. They just need to design it in such a way that people will want to go back and do it. I mean, Eureka has, no issues getting people to go back. Aloha, stop. No, go down. Go down. All right. Or go back up. Those are your choices, I suppose, but you're not getting on the desk. That would be, I mean, that's the big thing. It just has to be designed with that in mind in the first place. What? Cat. I said I want to get the video done quick, and then Aloha just goes into full, and I mean full sabotage mode. Aloha, you're not, oh my goodness. He slipped. You're going down here. Come on. There you go. All right. He's down. Anyway, I think design-wise, most of what they did in Bozja and Zadnor would hold up perfectly fine. The duels were fantastic, and they eventually made getting entry into the duels a much more consistent thing. I think the actions and the way the actions are incorporated were fantastic. I think the large-scale raids within the zones were really cool, although those come with the same issues that the Delubrum Reginate itself comes with, in that it's not always easy to get people to go do them, so that would be something they'd have to look at. I think they could add a few more objectives to the map. I think you can add stuff to make it better and adjust some things that are there, but the basis of what it is, I mean, they proved that it could work with Eureka, which is still a highly populated content that needs no help. It could use a few changes to Hydatos in terms of crystal acquisition, but that's about it. So I really hope we get something in that it's just an improvement of what we've gotten before. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hello, Mr. Happy. Hope you've had a good week. Thank you, and same to you. Question, what, if anything, do you like about the gameplay of Retail 11 in its current state, and why? If nothing, why not? Retail 11 is the version of 11 you play strictly to get things done. Classic 11, unofficial 11, is what you play strictly to have something to occupy more time or to play with people in slower settings. So I could play Retail 11 and I can reasonably get anything I want done at some capacity. I don't have to worry about how many other people are online all the time. I don't have to worry about sitting around waiting for something to happen, which is a lot of original 11. And that for me works because I used to need Classic 11 when I was younger as essentially a social hub. I don't need Final Fantasy XI to be my social hub anymore. Between Twitch, Discord, social media, just access to the internet being easier, I can find that sort of social interaction however I want. I don't need a game forcing me into it and forcing me into really slow scenarios. Instead, I could focus on getting goals completed while socializing in my usual manner with other people. So that's, I guess, the big thing that's changed. Not to mention that the gear is insane in Retail 11 now, and there's still a lot of it to obtain. And while, yes, the new MP +2 and 3 stuff, as well as some of the other things kind of supersede it, there's still that same kind of looking for gear for all these different situations, but then there's also gear pieces that are better that you want to... I've always said 11's not horizontal, 11's like diagonal, because you're looking for things, and then it's more like, instead of a tree branch going up with little branches out to the left and right, it's tree branches to the left and right with little nubs going up, I suppose, up and down. And so for that's still there in Retail, but it's just achievable. So if I want to log in and do something for a very limited time, I will get a lot more out of Retail 11 than I will out of any other experience. And I just don't need the experience I had when I was 13 years old. I was 13 years old. Not a fucking care in the world. I just did homework between that shit. I'm not trying to do taxes between my fucking H&M spawns nowadays. I'm an adult. No, I don't want that. I'm not doing that. So most things I like better in Retail 11 than I would in a Classic scenario. The only thing that would ever get me to play Classic 11 are official Classic servers. And I'd honestly be doing them more from a content perspective because you really can't do a lot of Classic stuff while live streaming. Like, what are you going to NM camp? You're going to camp Leaping Lizzie live so everybody knows you're doing it and then comes out to grab it and knows the kill time? What are you going to camp H&M's live and give everyone the kill time? Like, it's, you know what I mean? It's like all of the conventions for what Classic 11 are not really stream friendly. So I wouldn't really want to do this. It would be strictly leveling. And that's okay. I can honestly still do that in retail now. I can do master levels, which will take ages. I actually did do a party with actual people for master levels just to get like a few of them under my belt. And that was fine. That was good. It was fun. You know, it was whatever, but it was paced at the same way retail 11 is. Just really, really fast. Lots of pulls, lots of kills, making sure to be full buffed and get all that damage out. So some of it's still there. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Haps. Hi. Hope you and the cats are well. As you can see, he's over on the couch grooming himself. You can't see him. He's like off to the side over there. A question regarding 11. Sure, I'm tempted to give the game a shot since the new Alliance raid in 14 is going to be themed, but I'm on a tight budget. Would a dedicated grind in the free 30 days that comes with the purchase be good feel for the story? Yes. So in that 30 days, it's very reasonable you would finish Rise of Xylart and Chains of Promethea. While I think Treasures of Odoragon needs to be in the consideration, I think if you have never played 11 before, those are your kind of minimum goals. Rise of Xylart, you could get done in almost no time at all. And Chains of Promethea, honestly, it's quite time-consuming, but time-consuming within 30 days, ultimately really reasonable. Treasure is also not that time-consuming. There's a lot of, like, in-game day waits, so you have to wait till like the next in-game day happens. That could be you could wait as little as 2 minutes if your timing is good, or you could wait as much as an hour. But it also depends on how much time you have available per day. I genuinely think you wouldn't need to go past treasures for whatever they're going to do in Echoes of Vana'diel, but nobody knows. So yeah, I think specifically to get that amount to feel out of it, and I think that's the ideal amount, 30 days is more than enough. I'll also tell you this, the game will likely go on sale for $9.99 in December. Normally that sale happens in November, but they didn't do it in November, so they're probably going to do it in December. So you could also save some money like that. So if you are trying to play on a tight budget, I would definitely wait for the $9.99 sale. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Laliho! Hello, and a fair Sunday/Monday to you. I'm preparing for both. Currently working on going for my Platinum Trophy on Armored Core 6 and want to know if you had a personal favorite build for going for those darn S ranks. Man, so they've actually... The problem is, I did a lot of S ranks when the game first came out. I never finished them all because I just didn't want to... I didn't feel like the right thing for me to stream going for all the S ranks. I noticed when I did that with Devil May Cry 5, it was like... it just got a little bit like too much about... Like I was too focused on the game and I couldn't be a streamer as much as I was being a completionist, I suppose. But when I played, you know, a lot of the explosive pieces were really OP. Of course, the Songbirds were just absolutely a masterclass and everything. But there were some missions that were a lot harder than others. I ended up going away from the Songbirds for quite a few missions, but it was like a mission-to-mission change that I was making. Like, okay, how long is this mission? How much can I avoid ammo? How many side objectives are... Like, I had to weigh things like... And I'm sure there's like an optimal weapon for almost like any scenario, maybe like a rifle or something. I had to weigh stuff like the cost of my ammo versus, you know, the durability of the enemies I was fighting. Like, was I going to bring something that could kill most of the like, say there's like a bunch of side objectives I needed for an S rank, and I needed to, I don't know, I just needed to just minimize costs. Could I kill them in a single rifle shot? Could I kill them in just a few pop-offs of like maybe something with really cheap ammo? That stuff had to be weighed, but I got most of mine with Songbirds. I think I can only think of like maybe 1 or 2 missions I didn't like S rank immediately with Songbirds, but I'd have to go back and look, and they've changed so many since that I don't think it's a good idea for me to recommend much. It's just the patches. I haven't kept up with the patches and what they've done. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hello, Happy. Hi. Hope all is well. Doing good. First time asker. Welcome. Curious about the possibility of positionals being removed. I think they are 100% going. I love positionals. Monk having the 6 positionals is something I love, but I will say this. New Monk is, for me, equally as engaging with only the 2 positionals as Old Monk was with the 6. I think they really did a good job with the blitz timing and how it's actually incorporated into your rotation, not making it something that's so easy to just look at, okay, it's up, go, press button. There's genuinely weighing the double light, getting your 1 minutes as your stronger burst, or your 2 minutes as your stronger burst, or making sure there's like a phantom rush. How many phantom rushes can I get in this fight based on the length? You know, making sure to pop a buff, like, you know, you got to pop Riddle of Fire like 7 GCDs before you actually go into PB. So it's not, there's a lot of not just pressing things right as they become available, except for Riddle of Earth and Brotherhood, which pretty much have to go because you can't let those fall off. But it's so adjustable in terms of like how you go into your rotations, and like if you have downtime, like there's a lot of on-the-fly adjustment that could be made. So it's very freeform. It's one of the only jobs that's like that. That being said, I'm only speaking for one melee. The other melees do not have such kind of free-flowing, you know, the closest thing you get, I guess, is lifetiming on Dragoon, or I guess whether you go into a double window, or, you know, how you want to actually spend gauge on Reaper, you know, weighing it versus downtime. Like there's all those little tiny case points that they have, but they're not quite the same. I think they're going away. I think they've been kind of, without doing it, kind of leaning into getting rid of them for a while now. And I guess that would be my surprise, would be as if they survive. So I think that they are going to do away with them, and they're going to slightly retune all of the job mechanics for the melees to make up for that. But I don't think it'll be enough, and I think people will say they miss the positionals more than they like whatever they do with the melees in the next expansion. At Mondays with Mr. Happy. Not quite the same, but I got you. I saw the text being written out as I scrolled through. Hi, Happy, and a bonus hello, just in case. You got it. Doing your recent Criterion guides of perspective, but I've landed in a different spot regarding difficulty. I've progged a couple tiers of Savage. I'm finding normal Criterion to be equal or harder than the 8-man Savage content, with actual Savage Criterion being something that just doesn't seem feasible to complete. I've cleared Deep Dungeon Souls, even more forgiving, and that seems even more forgiving a mistake than 20+ minutes of Savage Criterion. Let me tell you, as someone who's had to sit through 10 hours of Palace of the Dead just to die on 180+, I definitely don't agree with that. I definitely don't agree with that. Oh, that's just torture. Like, you eventually obtain the achievement for Savage, so I'm wondering if you think that Dawn Trail's older content will be unsyncable. It won't be. It literally already has the sync mechanic in it. Like, it syncs. It already has, like, what the maximum sync of the content will be. And in fact, the VNC Finder doesn't even have an unsync option, much like stuff like Deep Dungeon and everything. There's no option for it. So no, it probably won't be. You say that you find it equal to or harder than. I think that it just tests a completely different skill set, which a lot of people are not as good at. There's a lot more personal responsibility. You are expected to be very on point with you and whoever it is you're doing. There's a lot of flexing. So that's why I tell people Criterion is content. If you think you're like, you have no issues with 4 and 8-man raids, you think you'll have no issues with ultimates, do Criterion, because there's going to be a point where you wish you'd done it, and it's going to train skills that will make you better at other things. And I think that is where, if you do find it to be more difficult than 8-man stuff, I think it's a matter of you haven't taken the time to learn this to the capacity. You've taken the time to learn that. So there's a differential between what it's asking of you as a player. So I don't think, if you can do 8-man Savage, you can do Criterion Savage, in all honesty. It's just a matter of putting the time in to practice what they want you to do. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hiya, Haps. Hi. Hope you and the cats are in high spirits. Yeah, he seems to be doing fine. First, I have a question about job perception, specifically with Red Mage. As someone who loves the class and uses it for all the high content I've done, curious as to why I keep hearing people complaining about the state of the class and how it works. I was wondering if you could shed some light on what specifically people are yapping about. Second, is there a strategy for an EX or Savage fight you really regret coming up with and using sharing? It's got to be Garuda. It's Garuda or Leviathan. I think Garuda triangle strategy for the ads with Tirada and Suparna versus what we did. We were so geared. We had one tank take both Suparna and the boss, and then the party dealt with Tirada elsewhere. And that was ultimately not a good idea. That's a big one, I think. And then, no, I think that's it. So to answer the first question, though, Red Mage is very much sacrificing. They're being told that they can't be as powerful as other classes because of their res, and yet their res is something that goes against their recent job design in a lot of ways. So a big problem with the res at the moment is that you cannot interrupt your quote melee combo, which is now, you know, three melee hits and 3 spells. So is it really a melee combo? Red mages won't stop their melee combo to res. So you might have up to 6 GCDs that are just unresable, and then you get those so frequently that the one advantage you're punishing them for, in that they have a res, is something they reasonably just can't decide to do whenever they want, because it will actively screw the one thing. Their DPS is already being punished for it, and then if they want to use it at ideal times, like when they need it on the spot, they might have to lose the thing they already don't have enough of to utilize it. So it's just really backwards, because if anything, they need more damage scaling. They need a higher damage scaling, so they'd feel safer kind of making that decision. At the end of the day, if you got a res for prog, you got a res for prog. but it doesn't make sense from a design standpoint to make the res cut you completely out of your melee combo. I think if they're gonna just keep it like kind of in the same percentage compared to the other ones, that probably needs to change. I will say Ren Mage does have some advantages in that if they really need to burst something quick in like 45 to 50 seconds, great example being phase 4 in the Omega protocol, then stocking up a melee combo or 2 or 3 suddenly becomes a major benefit. I mean, we had a Red Mage stock up melee combos for phase 4 top, and I had to dance partner. I had to change the dance partner them during that time because nobody else had like a great 1 minute window that frequently. They were just massacring during that phase, and it was ridiculous. So I just think that particular bit is backwards and that they shouldn't have that damage penalization for what they're getting out of it. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hi, Haps. Hi. I'm playing Final Fantasy IV and welcome the party size of 4 to 5 characters. Dragon Quest is 4 characters. Final Fantasy VII on went down to 3. What's your favorite active party size and why did they go to just 3 in the end? I think 4 is my ideal one. I've learned, because of Xenoblade 3, I've learned that the RPG flaw of not being able to use all your party members is not best solved by letting you use all your party members. I hate Xenoblade 3's way of doing the party system with all 6 party members on the field because they make the AI dumb as dicks to counterbalance the fact that you have 6 party members. And on top of that, switching is not super great in that game either. So they maybe had something more Final Fantasy VII-esque for like slowing things down or the way it swaps party members where it kind of pauses and does the camera flip. That game would be infinitely better gameplay-wise. But instead, you just get crap AI and you just have to outnumber everything, and it's awful. So I think 4 is ideal, but I think 4 with the ability to swap party members actively in combat is kind of the sweet spot. Final Fantasy X almost hits that. 3 party members able to actively swap in combat. Final Fantasy XII, 3 party members can actively swap in combat as long as they're not in the middle of an action. I think they've got like really close to what my ideal would be, and it's not quite there yet, but that's what it would be. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Haps. Hi. Is it too big of an ask for a hypothetical Beastmaster to require Save the Queen completion to unlock? Yes. Way too much to ask. I don't see that happening in any capacity. I ask this purely for selfish reasons. Yeah, I mean, I think if you have done it, that Lion should have some say or appearance or whatever, but it's very unreasonable. Hashtag Monday with Mr. Happy. Only one Monday, though. Hi. I got A9N in my normal roulette recently as a warrior. The door boss has an instant cleave attack that happens constantly alongside its auto. The combined attacks take away almost half my health in an instant. I was shocked and not prepared, so I turned off my tank stance and shirked my co-tank. Would putting that back make healing more engaging? Yeah, so there are a lot of people who are old heads, as we call ourselves, boomers, who definitely kind of prefer that knowledge-based tank mitigation. You kind of just have to know that tank busters happen at certain points in the fight. But at the end of the day, it is... How do I put this? A tank buster can wreck your face no matter what. It doesn't need to be instant to do that. It doesn't need to be paired with autos to do that. A tank buster just has to ruin your day. It has a chance to ruin your day at all times. Just has to be placed frequently enough or annoyingly enough. No better example of this than O10S, Midgard Sormer, who tanks actively dread because of how hard his tank buster hits on top of the sometimes random tank swaps. They don't like it, which shocks me. It's like, oh, you're bored all the time. All of a sudden the boss asks the tank to do something and you're just like, this sucks. It's the worst thing ever. Doesn't make any fucking sense to me. So would it make it more engaging? It only makes it more engaging if the tanks are unaware like you were. You weren't prepared for it, so the healers likely had to be more engaged because you were trying to you were like, oh, I don't even know where these go, or like, should I use this here or there? I don't know the timings, etc. It's engaging in those particular cases. In the case where the tank knows what they're doing, it is honestly no more or less engaging unless it's extended over a period of time long enough that there becomes a pressure point where there's no way your tank can be fully prepared for all of them, and thus they now have to start eating raw ones, which means there's this extra level of problem. I think you're more likely to find success combining the two, where there's big tank busters that force cooldowns out of tanks, and then those tiny in-between tank busters that come as well. And I mean, even though the big one can be cast, I mean, Titan has He has the cleave with the wide swing with the rock cleave or whatever it's called. And then he has Mountain Buster. Those are both instant, but like that same idea where you have a big tank buster that demands a lot and the little tank busters that demand something but not nothing alongside auto attacks is probably the sweet middle ground you want to find. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hey, Haps. Hi. With the summoner adjacent natural constructs we see in Alo, getting weird inclinations, maybe some hint as to what the green mage might be, or perhaps a preview. Yeah, people have been thinking that for ages when we started getting geomancer stuff. Like, whenever something pops up in lore that we think we can draw tangents towards or connect the dots with, it is a natural thing to think this. I think, again, it's another one of those situations where it's not like I can tell you you're wrong. It's not like I can tell you you're dumb. Like, I don't think those things, but like I couldn't say them even if I wanted to, because I would be dumb. It would be dumb for me to think that someone was dumb for thinking that there was a line between this. You know what I mean? Like, to even say, no, that's stupid. Why would you think that they're just doing that for it's irrelevant, because all of it is conjecture. All of it is fiction until it's not. So there's no plausibility in anything, but there's no deniability either. It's literally just something has appeared in game. You feel like you have a thought that it could be related, and that's kind of where it ends. There's nothing more to it, because you could be right, you could be wrong, but there's literally no context or anything to believe that any one of those two things is more correct than the other. And I always when I say something, I try to base it on something that's there. We all like to do predictions. We all like to do, you know, tinfoil hat theories. I do it. Everyone does. But the reality is it's all bullshit until a result is revealed to us. And so that's kind of where it ends. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hello, Happy. Hi. They must be very quick questions. First question, do you think they'll add more courses to the Fall Guys event in the future? No. Second question, I see you like rhythm games. Have you played any Rock Band or Guitar Hero? Yes, a lot. Lastly, just a joke question, but since we fought a fairy with a gun, can Scholar Fairy get a gun in Dawn Trail? Yeah, it's gonna when you go to use Dissipate, there's gonna be a 10% chance your fairy pulls out a gun and says, "I fucking dare you." Hashtag with Mondays comes a happy mister. Hello, Haps. Hi, and happy Super Mario RPG week. Super Mario RPG day. I had that 100% in, like, not 100% because I don't usually do all the mini games in Super Mario RPG, but yeah, I had that done very, very quickly. If speaking of which, have you played other RPG Mario games? No. I think I very briefly played the original Paper Mario at a friend's house at some point, but no, I never really got into Mario and Luigi and Paper Mario. I know Thousand Year Door is coming. So I might be able to check that out. I played Origami King hoping it would be an RPG, and then it was a puzzle game. Yeah, and then you just ask the same thing, you know, what about the... Yeah, that's a maybe. I got to see about the timing. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hi. Been ages since I've asked you something using it as an excuse. I said hi because you didn't. I threw it in there. I grabbed somebody else's and threw it in there on your behalf. One, why do people keep calling the Viper combined weapon a glaive? I've seen it show up in a previous Monday video too, but last I recall, glaives are pole arms and spears. That is correct. A glaive is a very particular type of one too, because it's got like that, like, I don't want to say it's long. I guess as a not sword expert, I shouldn't start throwing terms around. As a not weapons expert, but I know what you mean. A glaive is not a two-handed or a twin blade as a sense. I think at some point one of Zidane's weapons is called a glaive. I'd have to double check that, so that might lean into why some people call it that. But I understand what you're saying. I think it's just because it is technically like a pole arm. It's just that it has a blade on both ends. People just kind of default to calling it a glaive. But yeah, I don't know if there's any context. Twin sword is what I would prefer to call it. I don't even know if that's right. 2, is there a guide sign up to register for 11? From what I've seen, it looks like the ultimate 14 sign up savage, which is often called the hardest thing. I released a video. It sounds like oh yeah, this was asked before I put that video out. So hopefully the video I put out would be of help. Hashtag Haps Monday. Wait, Haps Mondays Happy Mister. Wow, that really got me with that extra S in there. Hey, Mr. Haps. Hello. Just want to ask 2 questions. Okay. First one is how much does eye level come into play when picking Biss? Almost entirely, but when it comes to accessories, the amount of stat you get per item level goes down. So there's sometimes reason to swing like a double tome ring Biss, but it's very particular to the job and very particular to the rings available in a given patch. I'd have to look at every individual Biss to point out which ones use which, but there is that consideration. It's just normally only with like rings. And second question is, as a Sage player, couldn't help but be envious of the Sage ability that was in the role quest and post patches where they make a force field to block, similar to block that one paladin move. My question is, have they ever done stuff like this in the past where NPCs use abilities that didn't exist that gave said ability? There's a big pass to that, I'm almost certain, but there's also a lot of cases where they don't. There's a lot of bard songs that are present. There's, you know, the different like 4-part ninjutsus and stuff like that that never get used. So there's more of a track record of us never getting those things than there is a track record of us getting those things. I think the most popular example of a skill that was in game that was made into a player skill is probably Collective Unconscious. Ishtola used it in A Realm Reborn. And then Astro got it in 3.0. And, you know, Ishtola's used it a bunch as well. So that's probably the most direct case of a player or a character using a skill and the player getting it. But that's not even class or job because she's a scion. So, you know, even though she's a conjurer and used that skill back in A Realm Reborn, she doesn't care really that she's a conjurer. She just like uses the things that she thinks. That's how all the scions work. Like they give them jobs for the trust menu, but it's really just they learn things as they travel and they use the combat skills they think will help them the most. And in that case, it just happened to be the bubble. So there is some case for it, but it's not like, it's not crazy. Sooner the player gets it and then you see NPCs use it, not the other way around. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Bonjour, Monsieur Haps. Oh, I almost said you didn't say hello, and then I realized that I just read the hello. 2 or 3 weeks ago, you mentioned something about Yoshi P confirming the 2-minute meta was a result of player feedback. Well, I have no doubt a number of players might have asked something along that line. I think blind fan service is flawed in many ways, from dungeons, alliance raids, normal pandemonium. The average 14 player is terrible at 2 minutes. I either forget about it or unsync them as soon as they very first pull in the boss. Saying that, do you think Serenity needs to do better at associating player feedback with who changes will actually impact? So you know what the funny thing is? It's not those players who are asking for 2-minute meta. I hate to say it, it is the raiders. Like the people who regularly raid, because they'll point out that there's like a difficulty in syncing up a skill with another skill. And that's the kind of feedback that it goes to. So the players who are really bad at it, they weren't the players asking for it in the first place. It seems like something that is made for them. And in reality, it kind of is supposed to be. But the feedback is from the people who push the game's gameplay kind of to the cutting edge in the first place. I witnessed it for years of people saying, oh, they should make this. This is kind of annoying to line up. They should definitely make it line up like this. And that's how we got here. It's like, it wasn't some magic, you know, button they flipped. They said, fuck all of them. Let's just do this because it's the easiest. No, there were people in Savage, like week 1 raids and ultimates who actively complained about things like this. And that is why it is the way that it is. So it's like, the answer to your question is always yes. They should always, you know, make sure that when they're applying feedback that they understand the reach of it across everything and how it actually affects all the player bases. But the people who are complaining about the 2-minute meta the most right now are also the people who made it fucking happen. So it's clearly a matter of not really knowing what you want or what you have until it's gone, which is why a lot of those same people now look at Shadowbringers and go, no, that was kind of the sweet spot right there. Shadowbringers was probably the sweet spot of what we should have had, and then maybe we should just shut the fuck up after that. All right, and that actually was the last question. There's a lot of comments on this video and a lot of like replies and discussions. I'm mind blown. When I got to the bottom, I saw one that said, no, limit breaks are not dynamis. Limit breaks have already been explained. Somebody didn't pay attention in Endwalker. So about that. Oopsie. Remember the part where you tank LB3 and a certain boss goes, dynamis? Woo! That one over the head. But yeah, that's going to be it for this week's episode of Mondays with Mr. Happy. If you have a question, throw it in the comment section of the video below. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share, and I will see you in next week's episode. Until then, I bid you adieu. Oh, and have a good, if you're an American like I am, have a good Thanksgiving. I'm just making a turkey. I got a free turkey, so I'm cooking a turkey. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing anything for it myself. So yeah, anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, bye-bye.